Happy Rom-Com Month. We are doing 28 Days of Love, and today is day 4. I am your host, Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker. When I speak, my topic is something I call Take the Doughnut. It's another way to say Carpe Diem, and it comes from this very strange thing that happened to me in college, where I left an actual donut on a table, and it became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave opportunities behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. Now, from time to time, I'll give myself a take the donut challenge. I'll say there's something I want to go after, and I'll hold myself accountable to it. I'll make it official for myself. And here we are. It's 28 Days of Love for Rom-Com Month. And so this time I'm opening up this challenge to anybody who wants to join. Glad you're all here. And I'm sharing 10 things I love about the movie Something Borrowed, but I'm not doing it alone. I have a guest for this one. So excited to welcome America Lopez, who, let me just introduce America for you. You already know her, let's be honest, but you know her from Big Brother 25. You know her from hosting the America Tells All podcast. You know her because she's a fellow Brown University alum. You may know her from my Inktober coverage. She did Scream. She did Triangle. You may know her from the Take the Doughnut interview she did with me. You know her from a lot of things. Welcome, America.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Melissa. Rom-Com month. Oh my God, I love love. This is my month. Rom-coms are my thing. I'm so excited to be talking about Something Borrowed because this is one of those movies. We talked about this earlier, but it's very polarizing. But also, I don't think a lot of people have heard of it. So I'm excited to get this discussion going and talking about this movie that I love to hate.
It's so good. I was so excited you picked this one because I sort of showed you a whole list of movies I was doing. You were all in on Kate Hudson.
Yep.
So
Actually, I realized that after. I was like, wait a minute. That's my girl.
yeah, so for those of you who are wondering, America's also going to cover How to Lose Guy in 10 Days. But we're going to talk about Something Borrowed today. But yeah, I was I guess a little surprised because I can never judge like how well known this movie actually is. But when people talk about it, they either love or they hate it. And I feel like we represent both camps here on this video. So this is going to be a great conversation. If you love this movie or you hate this movie, stick around. Somebody here agrees with you. Okay. So yeah, what's going on for you? Just to, before we get into it, how are things going?
They're good. We're just settling down after the craziness of the holiday season. So I'm very excited to be back home here in Nashville and just be able to chill, watch my favorite rom-coms, and just share all of my movies with Corey because we do our own. We're gonna do our 28 Days of Love. And we're gonna watch these rom-coms, and I'm excited to watch Something Borrowed with him again. I sat him down. This is one of the first movies that I showed him after we got out of the Big Brother house. I'm like, there's this movie, and you need to watch it. It's one of my favorites of all time. And afterwards, he's like, oh my God, I hate this. This is the worst movie ever. Why would you show this to me? And anyway, he's gonna suffer through it again this season.
That's as it should be. So tell me your journey with this film. How did you find it? Like, but without giving away the top 10 list,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your journey with this film.
I think it was like on Netflix or something. And I was like, ooh, rom-com. This is all me. And I went into it completely blind. I did not read the plot. I had no idea what was going to happen. And not once did I guess, like I said, not once did I guess what was going to happen. It just took me on such a journey. And I finished the movie being like, oh my God, this is one of the best things I have ever watched. It's so insane. So that's my journey with it.
So cool. All right. Well, let's get into our top 10 list. We're going to do this where, America and I are going back and forth. We both picked a top 5 things that we love about Something Borrowed. And we're going to share those. I'll do the even numbers. America will do the odds so she can end up with number 1. But basically, like some of them might be big things, some of them might be small things, but these are just things we love. So I will start with number 10. For me, I love, it's such a small thing, but it's this like movement thing. It's at the Hamptons house when we first go to the Hamptons house.
Yeah, yeah.
But most of the characters drive up, but Claire is already there. Claire, who, this woman, Ashley Williams, commits to this character for sure. And I should say, by the way, before we get into it, this is starring Ginnifer Goodwin as Rachel, Kate Hudson as Darcy, Colin Egglesfield as Dex, John Krasinski as Ethan, also a Brown grad from 2001. Steve Howey as Marcus and Ashley Williams as Claire. It was directed by Luke Greenfield and written by Jenny Snyder Ehrman and Emily Giffen. So at the Hamptons house, when we first get there, Claire is at the foot of the porch, and John Krasinski's character Ethan, he does not want to interact with her whatsoever. So there's this really cool thing that happens from a movement standpoint where he like has Rachel right in front of him, and he's like positioning her, trying to get her to block him, and then just pushes her in for a hug with Claire. And something about the way they're moving, I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing. It's the dancer brain, I think, for me, where I'm just like, that's so interesting. Like, what a cool way to be really awkward about not wanting to interact with somebody who's directly in front of you.
Yeah. See, and I watched that and I was like, grow up, Ethan. That's his name, right? Or
Sure is.
what's John Krasinski's name?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Ethan.
I'm like, grow up, Ethan. Oh my God. I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm so annoyed. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a rom-com. It's supposed to be a little goofy. But I'm like, just tell her that you're not into her, you know? Grow up.
Yeah, I mean, big picture, yeah, that's the correct answer. It was just a movement thing for me, really,
No,
that I was like, this is
it sticks
fun.
out for sure.
But yeah, I mean, what's so hard? What is so hard? Like he does the hardest possible thing to just not tell her. Like,
It's so awkward, but his character's supposed to be like this awkward sort of guy, right? Yeah, I remember that scene. That's funny.
I just feel like poor Ethan has just suffered all these people for the sake of being around Rachel. Like, who does he actually like of this group of humans? It's like,
If he felt like just so like I was like, does he belong in this friend group? I don't get it. I don't see him mingling with them. Also, him doing all of this to hang out with Rachel when Rachel doesn't even want him like that. Sorry, spoilers, but
oh
I'm
no, we're
like,
spoiling the whole film here. We're talking about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, come on, is it worth it? Go home, Ethan. I get the Hamptons are nice, but are they that nice? New
Yeah.
York's nice too.
I mean, you know how it is. Well, that was my number 10. Let's get into what you have for number 9.
Okay, my number nine. I love that the villains win in this movie. It's just like you don't see this in rom-coms, right? They all follow the same sort of trajectory, and it's a very like obvious plot. This movie doesn't have that. The villains, okay, so also this is my opinion that the protagonists are the villains, right? So Rachel and Dex end up together. And I see that as a win for the villains. And I'm just sort of so in love with that because you don't expect it. I think the entire time you're like holding out on this hope that Rachel's gonna get with Ethan eventually, because they always do, right? They end up going to realizing that the best friend who was there for them all along through this heartbreak is actually the person that they really want to be with. Rachel never has that epiphany. So she ends up with Dex. And yeah, I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is different. I like it. I'm into it.
So I'm so excited that this is number 9 for you. We are, for those who don't feel this way about this film, just wait for my number 8. But let me ask you this. The movie's called Something Borrowed. Who do you think did the borrowing?
Something borrowed. They all sort of borrowed each other. So
Okay.
Rachel bothers or borrows Dex. What's her name? Kate Hudson's character, Darcy,
Darcy. Hmm.
borrows Marcus. Eventually, we find out. And Claire is trying to borrow Ethan. There's a lot of cheating going on, a lot of people trying to get in relationships, and yeah, I think everyone's sort of borrowing.
See, I love this because I think this is where the division happens. on who you think borrowed who. Like, and how you end up seeing the film.
Yeah. Wait, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
I think that Darcy borrowed Dex from the very beginning, and he was always just borrowed from
Okay.
Rachel. So that
I
makes
see
me
that.
see
I see it.
Darcy as the villain. So it's so fun that we have like the two like different angles of looking at this, because anybody who's watching this right now totally agrees and disagrees with both of us. Like they, you'll find one person to disagree with and one person to agree with. But yeah, I love that you see Rachel and Dex as the villains of this, because I see them as the heroes. Um, and it totally changes my outlook on the whole film when you look at it that way. But I like it. So, from your standpoint, the villains win.
Yeah, and
And
also
that was
like,
unexpected.
yeah, for my viewpoint, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. There aren't any heroes. Everybody sort of sucks. And my takeaway from the movie is, there's no black and white. There's these morally gray characters. I mean, Rachel, I mean, she's cheating with her best friend's fiance. Like that is such an insane concept. And in the end, they sort of try um justifying it by being like, oh, but Darcy's a cheater too. And she's pregnant with Marcus's kid. And I'm just not buying it. I'm like, ugh, everybody sucks. Even Ethan sucks. I know some people I saw online were like, rooting for Ethan. I'm like, no, I think Ethan is sort of like this. I'm like, grow up, stand up. And eventually he does. He packs his things, moves to London to like get away from this mess. But yeah, I think everybody's messy and it's chaotic. And I just don't see any redeemable qualities in like any of these characters. And for that reason, I love it. I think it's a
What
fun movie. It's a fun
what should
watch.
Ethan have done differently? I mean, I feel like you maybe wanted him to put his foot down with Claire earlier. If you could write a happier story for Ethan, what would it include?
I would have just written him off. I thought he was completely useless in this entire plot. I guess maybe like gotten over his crush uh a little earlier. It's like, come on. I'm sure it sounded from what I remember that it's been like years of him like having a crush on Rachel. And I'm like, get over it. Start dating. Get out there. You're in New York City. Hello. There's like you have a big pool to choose from, and he just doesn't. And at the end, when he's like confessing his love to her, I'm like, oh, I can't watch. This is so cringy. It's like just so awkward, but whatever.
So sorry, John Krasinski. These two brown grads, we love you.
Oh, wait, but so yeah, Ethan's character, I don't know if you've so this is based off of a book. I think it's like a trilogy, right? The next book I heard, Something Blue, tells the story of Darcy and Ethan getting together.
Oh,
And they
well,
end up somehow, I don't know. I'm like, I want to read this book because how does that work? But they end up getting together and they end up getting married.
oh my goodness. Hard to picture.
I I right? I'm just like trying to see it. They were more like bickering like siblings. Like that's the vibe that they gave me in the movie, but I don't know.
Well, that kind of disrupts my thoughts on the film, but that's okay because it never happened.
It
Because
never happened.
we could get a to be continued at the end of a what was it, a 2011 film, and here we are,
We're still
2025.
waiting.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're working on it 14 years later. Well, I feel like this is a good opportunity to go into my number eight, which is in conversation with your number nine. The narcissist doesn't win. Uh,
I'll
all
give you
right.
that.
Here's the lens that I see this movie through. So Kate Hudson's character Darcy is very look. I'm no therapist, okay? I'll put that disclaimer out there. I see Darcy as a narcissist, flat out.
She is.
I see Rachel as her supply, and what I think often happens in relationships like this is the narcissist takes the the I don't want to use the word enabler, but like the supply gives to the point where when we see Rachel at the start of this film, who are her friends besides Darcy and Ethan? Ethan she knew from school, but so did Darcy. And
Hmm.
so Darcy kind of lays claim to all of it. Rachel came in knowing, like, she had such a crush on Dex, and he had one for her. Like, they both crushed on each other. And Darcy swoops in knowing that this is happening. She goes into that first interaction at the bar
Hmm.
knowing that Rachel has been talking about Dex nonstop and she thinks this is a date, but is too shy to say anything about it. And Darcy swoops in and takes him forever. And like, I, and Rachel lets it happen because that is how things work in their relationship. And that is how things work in a relationship with a narcissist until you stop it, which usually causes a lot of collateral damage. And so sometimes people can't ever. And so, I look at Rachel in this film and her world is so small. Like, it's all about giving things to Darcy, dropping whatever she has to do at any given moment. They make it look like she has a somewhat functional professional life
Hmm.
that's separate from all of this, but socially, she's got nothing if she doesn't have Darcy. So I really appreciate that this movie showed us what it looks like when you finally like stop giving in, because it's usually not pretty at all. Um, this is a particular not pretty sort of thing where a lot of people vilify Rachel because she's taking back the thing that Darcy took from her. But I do think it's interesting that this movie shows that there's consequences to everybody in cutting off this dynamic. Because I think that's how it plays out in the real world. So I like that there's an example of a movie out there that shows us this, and I don't see Rachel or Dex as a villain. I see them getting back on course to what they were already doing before
Hmm.
Darcy swooped in and sort of like disrupted everything. I don't know, like your mileage may vary on the narcissist angle
Yeah.
because like there's also that they're cheaters angle, like which, we've presented both sides really.
Yeah. No, that's interesting because I never thought that deeply about like Darcy's character, I guess, right? I'm like, oh, she sucks, but thinking back about that first interaction, you're right. When she comes into the bar, it's just like all about her and she like swoops and I think she makes a comment like, "Oh, this is the guy that you've been talking nonstop about, Rachel." So like she is aware of this crush that exists. Um, but I don't know. Maybe, and this is another number on my list, but just Kate Hudson. For I have a soft spot for Kate Hudson, and I'm like, oh, she's just so likable, despite all her bad qualities. But she sucks. No, I agree, and I totally saw the narcissist thing. I totally get that. Um, and it's just, I guess, kind of sad to see Rachel's circle be so small, but also you feel like just she's been drained like all these years and she's sort of become like this like shell of a person and um she's thinking back like all these regrets that she has and it's very sad.
It
And
is
I
sad.
agree that Darcy does suck.
Well, and but so charismatic, and I think that's often the case. I like that they
Yeah.
start. I like where they start in this film because they start at this surprise birthday party for Rachel that she
Hmm.
knows full well is about to happen. The guards won't even let her in the door. She has to be like, "It's my surprise party. I'm fine." Like Darcy hasn't even gotten anybody to go there with her.
Hmm.
Like she shows up at this party, which appears to be full of Darcy's friends.
Yeah.
Like none of these people seem to know Rachel. She
Mm,
doesn't seem to
okay.
know most of them, except for Dex, who knows she hates the party.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Ethan, who knows she hates the party. That's it. Those are the people that she knows besides Darcy. And Darcy shows up. They say surprise. She whisks away with a feather boa and gets the whole crowd to follow her. And then she's up on stage dancing. And then she insults Rachel's shoes. It's like, for me, just the way they open this film. Because I think if you look at it the way you presented, where Rachel and Dex are the villains, and then like they cheat and they get back together, and we excuse that by saying Darcy cheated with Marcus. I think that can seem really like an unsatisfactory way to explain why it's okay.
Hmm.
To just say, oh, well, see, she just cheated with Marcus. I think if you look at it from the angle that I'm looking at it from, they position it right from the beginning,
Yeah.
where the party is like, what is Rachel's life? Like, what is this? Like, she hates this thing, this
Yeah.
party that Darcy is loving, where she's done a slideshow of photos of herself. It's
Oh,
just,
hello. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure our top 10 list will get much lighter from here, but we had to address the polarizing topic straight off the bat and really get into it. So, you know,
Straight up. No, yeah, this is it. I love this movie for it. When I looked it up, it's like, yeah, people either really love it or hate it. And I cannot believe it's got like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's how you know it's a good movie.
I think it's the morality vote. Like
Yeah,
I think people come in with whether they agree with the actions of the people or not. I don't know. I don't know.
people
Actually,
just hate fun. They hate
yeah.
fun. That's what it is.
Well, look, you've presented an angle. I presented an angle. Curious to know from people watching this, like, where does this movie fall for you? Like, do you see it more the way America presented, the way I presented? Like, how does that change if you enjoyed the movie?
Yeah.
Um, like I think this is a really interesting like Rorschach test of it all. But, that's my number 8. What's your next one? Number 7 on the list.
Number 7, I love a good rom-com, but I love it even more when it's set in New York City. Just something about the city vibe, it has a feeling, and yeah, that's my number 7.
That's so good. Historically, I feel like New York is a city
There
often
are
used
so
in
many.
rom-coms.
We're going to talk about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, New York City. When Harry Met Sally, hello, New York City. I just saw that one recently. So good. It's got a different vibe to it. The city, just like the energy, it's so good.
Hmm. Okay, so um New York City shines. It's a character in the film, absolutely. And actually like a lot of like the outskirts too, going to the Hamptons.
They
Like
go
I
back
think
and
it
forth.
shows you
Yeah.
that culture of people making that sort of pilgrimage for their summer homes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe like, if we want to look deeper into this, it's sort of the city reflects like this chaos, right? And even when she goes off to the Hamptons, like she can't escape it. It's still like it's her circle. It's so chaotic and so messy and, Rachel's sort of freaking out the entire time, but I think it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the Hamptons. Like it is just like a mini New York City. It's like everybody you see there came from
Mm-hmm.
somewhere like a little further west in New
Yep.
York.
Yep.
Like they crossed Long Island to get to the Hamptons, but they probably didn't come from outside of New York to get there. Usually is my understanding of it. So it is interesting that it's like the same world, just a different setting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so good. Well, my number 6 for me is a pretty quick one. I just wanted to mention like use of the song from the Civil Wars, Poison and Wine. There's a montage after Rachel and Dex have a confrontation at the jetty where they use this
Hmm.
song. And I mean, the Civil Wars are so good. But that particular song is like, I don't know, they just have this beautiful duet that is so sad at that point. And Rachel's heart is broken, and she's like, "This is never going to happen." And she's like finding the invitation in the stove. I don't know why. I don't know why
Oh,
this is the
yeah.
thing about this movie. Like,
It spoke to you.
it spoke to me as somebody who's never once opened my oven in 4 years of living in the place that I live in. I can appreciate that she just opened it to put in an invitation and some months later opened it again to bake something. I don't know. And
Yeah.
was like, oh, the invitation's still
Oh yeah,
here.
because she's going through it, so she's gonna bake. That's like we all do.
As it is. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But the Civil Wars, Poison and Wine, so good. I don't really have much else to say besides that. I just wanted to give a shout out to the song.
Yeah, I gotta go back and pay attention because I don't remember how the song goes, but I know exactly what scene you're talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's my number. What are we at?
We're
Five
at 5.
5 is also a song. our little dance sequence that we have going on with Rachel and Darcy, Push It by Salt and Pepper. Oh my God, I love this. I used to rehearse it all the time. I was way too old. I was like 17, 16 when this movie came out, but I'm still like trying to learn the choreography. I think it's like such a sweet moment between these two characters that like you don't fit together, right? Or have this very like toxic relationship. I'm like, oh, this is reminds you that like they are friends in some capacity, or they were friends when they were little and they're doing this dance. And I'm like, oh, this is so cute. I love it.
I love that dance looks like it was choreographed by kids.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
exactly.
like,
It's something that I would like, choreograph with my cousins, and I'd be like, "Mom, look what we just did," and we'd like perform for them. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so good. That was, yeah, I really enjoy watching them dance in that scene. And they're both good dancers too.
Yeah.
You can
No.
tell, even though
They
what they're
get
doing
into it.
doesn't show it off. Like
No,
it's yeah.
they get into it. They like get on the ground and they start like singing. It's so good.
Yeah. You just know they did that a million times when they were little. Ethan was like, "Stop. I've seen the push it dance.
Yep,
Stop it
yep.
already. Stop." Oh my gosh. Um, well, okay, number four. The meet cute between Rachel and Dex. Him coming over and being like, "You don't happen to have like four extra pens, do you?" Like, it just cracked me up. And she lines them up so perfectly and knocks every single pen off the desk. And he just slides the one pen over. It's so it's not the only movie on my list where a pen becomes important. Say Anything is another one like that.
Okay.
Um, I gave her my heart. She gave me a pen. Pens are a big deal in rom-coms, I guess. But just like you don't happen to have like four extra pens, do you? It's just because the thing is, I think one of the reasons I like it so much is the delivery of it works. I
Yep.
think that Colin Egglesfield had options and how he put that out there, and he could have come off like a jackass right from like he could have come off like the jock, like like
Yep.
mean, like, and somehow it was like I'm intrigued by the girl who has four pens that was underneath that line.
Hmm.
So it made it feel appealing, but I can imagine line reads of that would have been like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward, but they made it work, and I thought it was adorable. I get it.
Those two, they just knew from the beginning, and then they lost sight of it for a good long time. Ugh.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. But that's my number four. Pens featured in the movie. How about your number three?
No pens on my list, but I do have Kate Hudson. I love her in this movie. I think she's so charismatic, and I think I end up walking away from this movie hating every character more than her, just because I don't know. Maybe it's part of her character, part of her charm. I think it's Kate Hudson. She's just so fun in rom-coms, and I think she's a star. She needs to go back to doing rom-coms. It's been a while. She hasn't done a rom-com in forever. What was she in recently? Oh, she was in Glass
Knives
Onion.
Glass Onion.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's the
yeah.
one. Yeah,
The Knives Out.
and she is singing as well now, I believe.
She did release a song, right? Or something. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that somewhere.
Yeah, so
I
she's been getting
didn't
into
listen to
that.
it. No,
I
girl, come
Yeah.
back to the movie. Like, go back to rom-coms. Forget the music.
It's tough
But
because when people are so good at so many things, it's like, I don't know how to tell you to go back to the thing I happen to like, but she's like, if I could have also added Almost Famous to this rom-com month list, I
love
totally would have
Almost
done it. But I felt
Famous.
like,
Yeah.
it's not quite there. It's like more
Yeah.
than that. I'll find a way to cover it at some point. But yeah, she's so good. She's so compelling. She's so charismatic. Even when sometimes she plays people that you're like, I don't know if I'm on board with what you're doing, but she still somehow makes it feel accessible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, I'm like, oh, you suck, right? Like you're just so unlikable, yet I'm drawn to you. You're so great. Does she own Fabletics? Or does she work
Yes.
with them?
I
Okay, I thought.
think well,
She's like the founder, right? I don't know.
I
That's
thought
the
she was the
impression I
founder,
had.
but she's at the very least the spokesperson. But I think she's I think she's like very
Yeah.
involved.
Because I remember her doing that for a while.
Yeah.
But
I'm guessing that's still a thing. I don't know how much she's involved in it day to day. Because if you're gonna go off and do movies and like make albums and stuff, I think you are committing to like walking away from a business for a certain amount of time, and it needs to still be able to function without you. So,
mhm.
I think she's still the face, but
Okay,
yeah,
good. I mean, I need her to drop Fabletics, drop the singing, get back to rom-coms. Kate, if you're listening to this, we need something borrowed too. We need something blue.
yes. How we have to figure out the to be continued. We must know, especially now that you've told me that like
Yeah.
Ethan and Darcy.
I've never watched the like after the credits. Apparently there's a scene,
Yeah,
or maybe I'm just not remembering the scene. I skipped it last time I watched it, I guess, where she shows up in London.
yeah.
You
Which
you
is
know that
why
you know
what you
this?
say totally tracks. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not at the very end of the credits. It's like two-thirds of the way through the credits. And
Okay.
they cut away from the credits to go back to a little bit of extra footage where Ethan is in London standing by a table talking to a bunch of people, and he hears Darcy say, "Ethan!" And she's calling his name, and she's got a roller bag with her. And he walks away. And she goes chasing after him, and then they go back to the credits. But
Yeah.
it does
Oh,
tee
okay.
up for what you said. Ugh.
Okay. I gotta watch that. I've never seen that scene. No, I've never seen it. Because usually the credits start, I'm like, okay, next movie.
Yeah.
Next show. But that sounds good. I need to watch this.
Well, I think when you're making a film and you put a scene in the middle of the credits, you know that not everybody's going to see it. So, like, I guess like that's a reality of it. But
Hmm.
I do struggle with the idea that Ethan, I don't know, I would need to see it build over a film, I think, because I think the fact that he knows what she is about, like they need to overcome that somehow. For him to be able to say like, she never got into Notre Dame. I've
Yeah.
always known it. Why don't you, Rachel? Like he's just so on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You know, he like perceives her a certain way. It's good. I would think it'd be hard for him to like deviate from, those feelings. But he is the sexiest man alive now. So maybe
Is he? Is that what's happened?
he's this year's, yeah, sexiest man alive. There's a lot of yeah, controversy surrounding that. But he is, so maybe they do fit together and they will make a good
Wow.
couple.
Representing Brown, class of 2001, a year
Yeah.
before I got there.
That's how I feel about Emma Watson. She graduated 2013, a year before I got there, and I was like,
Oh
no.
no. I mean, just missed these people. Okay, let's talk about number two. So, it is kind of in conversation with your number three.
Mhm.
The final confrontation between Darcy and Rachel is so powerful, like so beautifully done. There's like a grit in Kate Hudson's voice. Like
Mhm.
all, like I never want to see you again ever. Like she's just like so like the pain and the anger is all like it's somewhere in here and you
Mhm.
can hear it. But then also you then you slide over and you look at Ginnifer Goodwin and she's like all the wind is knocked out of her. Like this is probably for the best for her, but how do you let go of like what has basically sustained you for however many years? Like, what does she
Mhm.
have now? Like, she has to completely rebuild her life. She can do it with Dex, which is helpful, but I do feel like there's going to be a gaping hole, like a very, very sizable one. Um, if she doesn't have Darcy. So like you can feel that from both of them. I think just the acting in it is
Mhm.
just incredible to me. And
Yeah.
I just the strength of those two actors. And I also think that Ginnifer Goodwin, I haven't seen her whole catalog, but I think her face, it comes with this like association of like positive, pure, innocent things. Maybe like
Mhm.
because she was Snow White and Once
Yep.
Upon a
And
Time,
Once Upon a Time, that's right.
which might have been later. or but there's
Yeah.
something about her face where it's just like you just believe this girl who got her like a gut punch. Um, even if you see her as being the villain doing something bad, you can feel like, oh, I
Yeah.
I felt the wind being knocked out of
This
you just there. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, she feels guilty this entire time, right? Her and Dex do. And it is powerful. I think it's also like the one scene where you see like Darcy like get real for once. I think before this she's like some sort of like caricature of like this big party girl. And this is the one time where she's like, "Okay, cut the shit. Like what's going on?" Like I think she finds his jacket, right? I think she finds
Yeah.
like Dex's jacket. She's like, "I know he's here. What's going on?" And it's like, "Oh shit." Like things are going to go down and it's very intense, but it needs to happen. You know, she's been avoiding it and it's like what did they think was going to happen, right? And Rachel's sort of been trying to avoid this confrontation, but it's unavoidable. And it all worked out in the end. So,
I mean, it does feel unavoidable. I think when you have almost every character in the film like rolls their eyes at Darcy. You
mhm.
know, both her fiance and her best friend and Ethan. Like, how long do you live that life before
Yeah.
you just say like, I don't want to be the person who's always rolling my eyes at my wife, you know, like
Mhm.
or my best friend, you know, it just is sort of an interesting like, at what point do you pull off the band-aid? And
Mhm.
Darcy was perceptive enough to figure it out anyway. So
Weirdly, yeah, I was like, wait a minute. She's not like this just super ditzy, you know, like she picked up on that. That's very out of character, but whatever.
you would think she might have like the fact that she mentions like Dex hasn't had sex with me since before the 4th of July. You like there are probably some things that have been adding up in her head, like making it really weird. And we know from earlier in the film that she can go pretty quickly to him having an affair in her brain. So like I guess she's sort of like primed to have this realization, but I guess thank goodness she did before it was too late for everybody. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
what a mess. But the
And I
final
love it.
confrontation is my number two.
Number two. Okay.
What's number
Uh,
one on the list? Our favorite thing about this film.
my favorite. Okay, hold on. Let me I've sort of mentioned this throughout, but I love how unhinged it is. It's just so messy. And this big confrontation at the end, it's like, oh, and the drama, I love it. It makes me feel like I'm watching a novella the entire time. There's like these up and downs and there are these twists. Oh my God. She's cheating on this guy, but also she's cheating on him and he's cheating on her. And the whole time, Ethan's here in a corner like a little sad puppy dog being like, Rachel, please pay attention to me. Novella vibes. I grew up watching novella, so this is very reminiscent of that. And it's just, oh, I don't know, it's all over the place, and I love it.
We should see this recut as a novella with like, I'm
It would
carrying
work.
Marcus's baby. You know, like
Like what? Yeah, and what's it? Ethan being like, "Oh, I'm gay," and she's like, "Oh my God," Claire being, what's is her character's name? Claire,
yeah,
the girl
yeah.
that he's trying to avoid, being like, "Oh my God," you know. There's just like all these things that are like just so crazy that aren't usually in a rom com. Um, that I just love. I'm like, it just deviates from everything that I know, you know. And at the end, also Darcy and Rachel not being friends at the end, and you see them sort of just walk past each other, acknowledge each other, and then like go their own way. Like you don't see that in rom-coms a lot. Usually it's the big happy ending, everybody ends up being friends, everybody makes up, and it's just it's a different ending, but I like it.
It's such a good point, and there are some films on this rom-com month list. I'm like, I don't know if it's perfectly a
Yeah.
rom-com. Um, and I put this one on here because I think it's really close, but I think the complexity of it and the roller coaster feelings that it's supposed to inspire in us do sort of make it like an asterisk. Like maybe it's a rom-com, there are funny moments, it's a romantic movie, but also there's some stuff going on here that's going to make you feel things that a rom-com, like I feel like a lot of rom-coms are just trying to make you feel
Surface
good.
level. Yep.
And
Mhm.
I don't know that that's what this was going for, like it's
I don't
just
know what it's going for. I had no idea what the director or the writer of the book had in mind, but it makes me feel things that other rom-coms don't. So I'm like, oh, this is different. I like it, and I go back to it every year. I've watched it probably 10 times in my life, which is a lot for like a rom-com that I seemingly hate every character, but I just keep going back. I want to see it again. I want more. It's like this train wreck, right? But I just like I can't look away.
oh my gosh. Well, okay. So that's what we love about Something Borrowed. What do you all love? We would be very happy to hear that in the comments. What are your favorite things about it? How do you see it? Do you see this as a love to hate or a love to love sort of a movie? Lots to discuss with this particular film, and I'm really curious for people to weigh in on it. So feel free to jump into the comments. Before we wrap, America, what's going on for you? Anything that you want to share with people that's coming up?
Not really. Just hanging out here in Nashville, finally settled in. Me and Corey have our Patreon. We're doing a BB Can 10 rewatch right now. I've never watched BB Can. I watched season 12 last season, but they didn't have live feeds, so it was a little bit weird. I watched some of the episodes here and there, but it wasn't the same without the feeds. Anyway, we're going back. We're watching BB Can 10, which is funny because I've met Kevin Jacobs and it's so funny seeing him play out this like evil mastermind nerd vibe that he's got going on. Anyway, we're doing our rewatch there. That's patreon.com/ Americory. Other than that, no, I'm just chilling.
It's a real occupational hazard for you that you haven't seen. Like you have to go back and watch BB Can all the seasons, but every single one of them has already been spoiled for you, probably.
I'm like I know the final three, I know what goes down, but still, it's a lot of fun. I want to make it a point to watch every single BB Can season before the next season of US starts. Just because why not? I've heard they're great, and
They're really
it's
good, and Arissa Cox is so good.
she's so good. She's so
She's
involved,
amazing.
and you
Hmm
can tell she watches the show. No shade to Julie, but you
She,
know,
Arissa is so, I don't even know what the word is. Like she thinks so fast on her feet because people are talking in her ears every time she's talking to the audience, but you'd
yeah,
never know it.
yeah,
It's just amazing how
yeah.
adept she is in that role. I hope they find something
We'll
that
see her in
really
something.
lets her use her skills because she's incredible.
Yeah, she'll be back. I love her. She's great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, and where can people follow you or find you?
Yeah, on all the socials, ADAWG 956, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, I'm frail_king_lover. It's so embarrassing whenever I have to say that. But you can find me there. And I'm also on Blue Sky. We're trying to make that happen. Same thing,
Okay.
ADOG956.
Well, everybody be sure to check all of those resources out. Go follow America so you can learn all about the BB Can journey that she's about to take. And next time in Rom-Com Month, we are going to be covering, it's going to be day 5. We're going to cover Crazy Stupid Love. Also a 2011 film. It has Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, Marissa Tomei, Kevin Bacon. What a cast. Very excited to talk about that one. It's wacky, but it's really fun. So everybody be sure to join me for that one. And in the meantime, happy rom-com month, everybody. Get love, get donuts.
Bye.